Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this Monday, joined by Dustin Schutte, Dustin Dopirak, and Maxine making a special appearance again. She has many thoughts, and what was I? I forget what I was going to bring up. Oh yeah, the point I just brought up, Howard. Ohio State had 75,000 fans at their spring game. Penn State about the same. IU maybe 1,000. How can IU compete revenue-wise? They can't.
They haven't for 70 years.
And that's not going to change. No, it's not. It's not going to change. And I wonder the difference between the greatness that we saw in the NCAA tournament in basketball this year with Florida Atlantic being in the Final Four, with San Diego State, that is not going to happen on the football side of things. No, you're not going to see these upstarts playing for the national championship.
I mean, they can get puncher's chances and whatnot. I mean, like there are a few scenarios like TCU got in the playoff. Like now, that's not. So what had to happen to get there? Like obviously they are different scenarios. And everybody's, but like generally the path for a school that's not as big or a program that doesn't draw as much is harder. I mean, look, TCU's in Texas. Like it's not like they don't have opportunity down there. It's not like they don't have a ton of fans down there. It's not like they can't get money. But TCU had to move up. I mean, what were they? Like I'm trying to think of the all-time path of TCU because I think they were a Southwest Conference team, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember. I know they were in the Mountain West.
Back in the day.
In the day when the Southwest Conference was a thing, were they not?
I can't imagine. I can't imagine that they weren't. Yeah.
I mean, they've got like who was it who from like the 30s won a Heisman there? Like, I'm blanking on the guy.
Oh man, are we talking about Red Grange or somebody?
No, we're not talking about Red Grange. There wasn't a Heisman trophy in Red Grange.
He was in Illinois.
He went to Illinois.
Illinois. Was it Doak Walker? Did Doak Walker go to SMU?
Davey O'Brien?
Yes. Okay, I was going to say there is an award named after a guy who went to TCU, and I think Doak Walker went to SMU. Yeah.
Wow.
Doak Walker went to SMU, and
wow, I did not know you were around then, Dustin. Dang.
So it's I got a lot of deep roots, man, and so and just it's a great skincare routine too, keeps me healthy. But no, I think so. They've obviously got history and whatnot, and that makes a difference. But yeah, no, it is extremely difficult, as we've obviously seen, to break through in football in ways that it is, and with basketball. And that's just, I mean, mostly that's the sport. I mean, that is like, having 5 guys out there put a ball in a hoop versus you've got to move a football 100 yards against 11 guys. Like, that's how the sport works. And the way that it's put together, it demands, investment, lots of players, lots of talent, which at the college level equates to lots of money. Like the equation's just different.
But
you
so
get
this
one
is
guy out there on the basketball floor, you can change your life. And football, it only kind of can't. Like you got to have a full offensive line, you got to have depth, you got to have you got to have a lot of guys, and getting a lot of guys takes a lot of money.
See, a lot of people will use the example of the NCAA tournament, and now we're going to get an expanded playoff to 12 teams, and say we've seen the upsets, and a lot of people will counter that and be like, football's not basketball. And that's 100% true. It is true. But we are just now seeing what in the last 5 years, we've just now seen 2 16 seeds upset a number 1 seed. Like, you can't expect a 12-team playoff is going to change the landscape of football, of college football immediately. Like, it's going to take a while. But I do think that you will see with an expanded playoff and giving smaller schools an opportunity to compete at that level, and with NIL becoming a factor, I do think at some point the field is going to level out. Now, I don't think it's going to be a situation where you see a team like San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, Miami, and UConn in the Final Four. I don't think we're going to see that. But can the occasional UCF, can the occasional Cincinnati or Houston or maybe a San Diego State, somebody get into the Final Four? I think eventually we'll see that. It's just going to take time. So, like,
yeah,
I don't know. To say that we'll never see what we saw in the NCAA tournament in college football, I agree with it because I don't think you'll ever see where you have kind of three teams making their first appearance in the Final Four, along with one, what Jim likes to call new blood. But I do think that after time, you'll see a lower level program or a team that hasn't been that great. Indiana could get hot. Illinois could get hot and get to the Final Four in the college football side. I think eventually you'll see that. It just takes time for these things to balance out.
Right. I mean, I think it's also sort of like, what's the equivalent? Like, so we've seen, when it comes to bowl games, like teams like that win a game, and so when it becomes a tournament game, like that obviously I think changes. Maybe she wants to come in, maybe she doesn't. Anyway, like, since you've had the New Year's Six and whatnot, you've had some teams like Houston get in and win their game, and so like how much does it matter when it's not a part of a tournament? It's like someone like you can nerd out. People who nerd out care, but it's like also especially when we've got people sitting out these games, it changes the level. But so if you make it a 12-team playoff and these games matter and everybody's playing their guys, okay, then one of those teams is going to beat somebody. Right. And they'll beat a name brand program. They might not beat, like, if you're the 12 and you beat the 5, I can't remember if we're going to have buys in this or whatever, exactly how the bracket's going to play out. But let's say it's a 12-team playoff and the top 4 get buys, and so it's 5-12, 6-11, 7-10, 8-9. Can a 12 beat a 5? If the 12 is the G5, representative, mm-hmm. Can that 12 beat that 5? Yes, that can definitely happen. I think we will absolutely see that occur. That the G5 champion or the G5 representative gets in and wins a game. And so, okay, then that gets you into the Elite 8. Does then that team so then that the 5 will play the 4, right? So the 12 gets the 4. Is it possible then that the 12 beats the 4? Yes, I think that's possible. The issue is that when you get further into the playoff, are they going to beat the 1 and the 2? Probably not. Right. That's kind of where that's where they're probably not going to be able to make that leap. But there is going to be that kind of that will be the version of a Cinderella. I think it's just somebody who wins a game, and then that can move the needle. And that can start you moving toward that direction and getting more investment in a program like that, and somebody seeing, hey, like if you can get 1 game, maybe you can get 2, and maybe you can get 3, and maybe you can get 4. So there's a chance of that moving the needle, but it's going to be harder because it's just so much is entrenched, and there is just so much money already accrued in the big schools. Like they just have like so much of an advantage, and the money, just ends up being such a big deal. And just the ability to accrue talent, and just shoot. Right now, it's not even just the money; it's the South. Like, right. It's the South. It's the SEC. Like the SEC, like just I don't like. At the end of the day, does the SEC have more money than the Big Ten? No, but does the SEC have more overall talent? Yes. I mean, and it's a resource. The talent in the South is a resource. That and if it is your home resource, you can get more out of it than you can if you have to go there. And obviously Indiana's got a lot out of going down there, and a lot of other teams have. But it's just like when it's your backyard, it's different, and they've been able to make the most out of having the South as their backyard for years and years and years and years. But especially the last 20, 30, they've made it very hard for anybody else to win.